Welcome back to ICMM, Living Life Unpaused, the podcast version. I'm your host, Abby Ventrilo. And if you're new here, this is the show where we talk about the messy, beautiful, imperfect process of choosing to live the life you actually want, one intentional action at a time. So let's get into it. There's a building on 39th Street that Chance used to drive past every single morning. Big building, nice parking lot, in his favorite neighborhood, with a little for sale sign that kept getting knocked over in the wind. He saw it every day for 2 years, and for 2 years he told himself he couldn't. Then one day he stopped telling himself that. Today, I'm sitting down with Chance, the owner of Blue Collar Barber Co., a guy who built the barbershop he wishes he had as a kid, picked every person and every chair in the place by hand, and made one of those leaps most of us just talk about. We get into taking that leap, what it actually cost, and the moment in his life that made him decide he would never use his circumstances as an excuse.
Well, I'm Chance Lemos. I'm the owner of Blue Collar Barber Co. I started Blue Collar Barber Co. in 2022 on my own after cutting hair for 5 years in town and going to barber school in Kansas City, Kansas. All of my clients followed me when I did my own thing, which was really cool. I was a little nervous to make the leap, but they made it a lot easier. And it was just a one-man studio that I had for 3 years, and it was great, but it was a small 250 square foot suite that I couldn't grow into. I would drive by this building every morning on my way to work, and I would see a little tiny for sale sign that'd be blown over in the wind half the time, every day. And it's a big building with a nice parking lot in my favorite neighborhood on 39th Street. I didn't ever really think I could make the leap. It was one thing to go and leap from working for a company to working on my own when the overhead is extremely low. It wasn't that scary. It was kind of scary, but then this one, the overhead's a lot more. And this is like a true leap into this building. But I talked to my real estate agent, who is like a mentor to me. And we looked at the building. It was in pretty good condition. It's a beautiful building. Loved everything about it. And I just kind of had to turn my brain off and just say, sign the papers and just make it work. And I saved up money for the 3 years I was on my own to have a huge like safety net and money to actually renovate the space, which was 2 months of renovations. And 1 year later, here we are. There's 5 of us that work here. We're all booked and busy. People love the place. We have the best clients. We've got the best barbers. And by best barbers, I mean personality wise and skill set wise. I was adding it up. We've got close to 35 years of experience in the building, which is really cool.
And I think I saw somewhere that you kind of handpicked all of the barbers that are here.
Oh, yeah. So um, I was never in a position that I was extremely desperate to bring people on.
Sure.
Uh, my philosophy is if I bring the right people on at the beginning, I don't have to fire people. I don't want to fire people. I want people to be happy here. And if they're good at what they do and they're responsible individuals, then the building and the business will run like a well-oiled machine. So yeah, I was very slow and deliberate with it, and all the people are awesome. So
Okay. So let's go back to where you started and
mhm.
you went to barber school. Is that right?
Yeah, well, I grew up. I was born in Port St. Lucie, Florida,
Okay.
and we lived in Florida till I was 5. And then my parents split up. My dad stayed in Florida, and me, my sister, and my mom moved to Warrensburg, Missouri, because that's where my mom grew up and my grandma lived. I grew up there from kindergarten all the way through high school, and I'm still friends with some of the friends that I was friends with in kindergarten, which is really cool. And most of my friends have actually moved from Warrensburg up to Kansas City, so we can still stay in touch. But I loved my school. It was Headlines Barber Academy. I wouldn't hesitate to tell anyone to go there. George and all of them that work there and own it, Ronell, they're the best. So, yeah.
Did you always want to be a barber? Or...
I made the decision that I wanted to be a barber when I was a freshman in high school. My original goal in life was to graduate high school, join the Air Force, and be a loadmaster in the Air Force because it seemed like it was the coolest job, and be in the Air Force for 20 years, retire at the age of 38 with the pension, and then go to barber school and then do what I'm doing now, just at a later stage in my life. But I applied for the military and I was stupid enough to tell my recruiter that I had asthma when I was a baby, even though it doesn't affect me today. And he put it on my permanent record, and it ruined my opportunity to join the military, which I still think the Air Force would have been so cool. And being a loadmaster still seems like a really cool job. But I got to just fast forward to where I am now. Instead of being in the military, I had to hurry up and figure out some other kind of jobs so I could save up to go to barber school. So my first job in high school was being a lifeguard at the Warrensburg pool, and that was just terrible. I hated that job. It's just like, how are you going to expect a 14 or 15-year-old kid to guard people's lives at the public pool
Yeah.
where they won't even listen to you when you whistle at them to stop running?
Yeah.
It's just like I was stressed out every day at that job. That was not for me. And then I worked as a dishwasher and that for like a week. That was terrible. And then the first job I actually liked that taught me work ethic and like I could actually be trusted to do my job and I enjoyed it was being a housekeeper at the Warrensburg Hospital. And it really got me out of my shell. I had to first off switch up my schedule that I was used to in high school, staying up too late with my friends, playing video games, partying, and then sleeping until noon and staying up too late. And then immediately I got a full time job right after high school that required me to be clocked in at 6 a.m. So my whole schedule got flip flopped, but it taught me to be a morning person and stuff. But that job would require me to knock on sick people's doors as an 18-year-old and ask them, housekeeping, can I come in? And they're sick, they're sad, they're depressed, they're in a hospital, they're trapped in this room. And I could either not talk to them when I'm 2 feet away from them for 10 minutes and be awkward and not really add to their experience, or I can try to just be nice and talk to them, ask them if they grew up in Warrensburg. Chances are we probably know some of the same people because Warrensburg's a small town. I didn't like talking to people before that job, but that job like really got me out of my comfort zone and taught me social skills. That taught me like how to talk to people. And being a barber, you need to know how to talk to people. First off, to figure out what they want for their haircut, but second off, to like just learn about them. Anybody can cut hair and make your hair shorter, but like a true barber, in my opinion, is going to remember things about you and your family. Remember the haircut we did last time and get it done well. It's more than just a great haircut, in my opinion. So, yeah.
So after barber school, you went and worked at a shop where I'm guessing you kind of built your clientele a little bit.
Yeah. I worked at Hudson Hawk. And realistically, my school was in the heart of Kansas City, Kansas. I did a lot of Afro texture hair, a lot of Hispanic hair. And the barbershop I went to was 99% Caucasian males, and their hair is so much different.
Mhm.
So starting at Hudson Hawk in Prairie Village was it was almost like school all over again, but I had to just fake it till I made it. My
Mhm.
first couple haircuts, and I think most people's haircuts out of barber school are probably not that great, but I had to completely learn on straight hair and um and especially longer hair. Like kids wanted kind of the Justin Bieber
Sure.
swoop thing, and I had zero. That's the absolute last haircut I've ever did in barber school. Didn't know anything about that. My school was basically flipper fades, like skin fades, lineups, designs, that kind of stuff. So I got really good at that kind of stuff. But then when I had no clue how to give like a haircut, that was all with scissors, but I just knew that I needed to learn it. So I just got uncomfortable and baked till I made it. And I still have some of those same clients that like I gave my first haircuts to over there that I know weren't that good, but they still come to me today, 9 years later, and they're awesome. A lot of my clients have followed me. Like most of my clients I've had for like 8 years, which is amazing.
So was there a moment when you kind of decided that you wanted to go out on your own or
I knew this was my goal always. I've always had this vision. I always knew I wanted to bring my dog to work. I knew if I worked on my own in my own cool building with character, it can reflect my personality. I want to be in a place that's decorated by me, my style. We get to play good music. I'm a firm believer that like barbers and hairstylists don't go to school to work for a corporation. And I've definitely built up my clientele and whatnot, but being on your own, being an independent contractor, 1099 is how I run my shop. It feels more empowering. You have more freedom. I get to pick my own prices. I get to pick how long my services are, how my services are done. During my interview outside of barber school, the barbershop that I worked for, I made sure they knew that my goal, I wanted to work there for 3 to 5 years, and then I'm going to go do my own thing. They appreciated the time and work that I put into the company, and I gave it my all. It was a good thing. It got me to where I am now, but I don't regret a thing of doing this. I still like have a notes app on from 10 years ago. Whenever I decided I wanted to be a barber, that explains what it's going to be like. Checkerboard floors. My original idea would be like the barbers wear white button-up shirts. We tried that actually for a little bit. The material. The one thing that people don't know about being a barber is you're cutting hair all day. All these little pieces of hair are like splinters, and if you don't wear the right material clothes, it'll ruin your clothes. If you wear like a wool sweater and you're cutting hair all day, that wool sweater will never ever be the same. So that's how these white button ups, they were just not the right materials. So they were just cut. They're white. They're supposed to be nice and clean, and then they're covered in hair. But then it's like a record player in the barber shop, and I've got that right there. And I look through that, and it's exactly what I've kind of held myself to.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
So you said you've known since you were a freshman in high school that you kind of wanted to go this route.
Mm.
I think you'd done a post that your dad was
Yeah.
also a hairstylist. Did that
Uh-huh.
influence your decision to do that?
No, maybe psychologically growing up in a salon atmosphere till I was 5 maybe rubbed off on me. But I mean, I think it's admirable that my dad did hair and he was obviously good at it because he had given haircuts to Jimmy Buffett, Charlie Sheen, the voice of the Tasmanian Devil,
Oh,
and
wow.
he owned his own salon, which is really cool. But I made the decision in high school because I absolutely hated homework. I didn't want to go to college. I loved getting my hair cut. It feels good to get your haircut, especially a good haircut. You just feel
Right.
great. You feel just good. Every time you look in the mirror, you feel better about yourself. It feels fresh. You're more confident. I wanted to give that feeling to people, and I loved it so much myself. And the proper atmosphere of a good barbershop, I was deprived of as a kid. You could go to your mom's frou-frou salon and feel embarrassed and when you leave, but get a mediocre haircut, or you could go to the barbershop that your grandpa goes to that everyone leaves with the exact same haircut.
Sure.
And I was like, I want to be the barber that I wish I had growing up. It was like, who's going to fill this gap of a masculine environment that people can go get good haircuts and have true barbers that give straight razor shaves because that kind of died out for forever. And so I was just like, I'm going to fill that niche one day.
So it's been a little bit of your goal to kind of bring back the old school
Hmm.
barbershop kind
Yeah,
of atmosphere then.
absolutely.
When you decided to go out on your own, what made you finally make that leap? Just that you've always wanted it or
I had like my real estate agent helping me. So
Mhm.
anything that pop up wouldn't be right. I wanted something that had character. I didn't want to just be in the suburbs in a random strip mall next to a laundromat. I
Sure.
wanted something that was unique and cool. And so honestly, I mean, after 3 years of working for the other barbershop, I was fully booked and I felt confident to go on my own. But it just took like 2 years to find the right building.
So you found the right place and just you were
Hmm.
ready to go.
Yeah.
Made that leap.
Well, the original spot of Blue Collar Barber Co, which is right around the corner from Missy B's and La Nueva Taquiera, it had been a barber shop since like that building was built. And it was always just this little tiny spot. And one of my clients knew that I'd been looking for a space, and he sent me this Craigslist ad of this turnkey barbershop, $500 a month. And they had one photo, like through the dusty window, and it looked like shit. And I was like, that looks terrible. Like, that's not what
Yeah.
I want. And so I brushed it off, but $500 was such a easy entry point. But I didn't even bother the leasing company to ask to go look at it myself. I just signed the lease. sight unseen, I just signed the lease because I was like, it's $500 a month. I know I can afford that. And utilities included. Like it was just a extremely like easy transition. And there's barber chairs in there. There's sinks that I'm assuming work. It was just like not my style. I knew I was going to do renovations. Thankfully, my real estate agent is like a mentor to me. He was like, dude, you need to have some contractors do this. You need to do this as quick as possible and get it done correctly. It took them 2 months to get the job done. And my job, I had been extremely transparent with them the whole time. So luckily, I was able to still work while the work was getting done. And I don't remember the whole timeline, but it worked out perfectly because I didn't have to take a single day off of work. I went straight from my old barbershop, had my 2 day weekend that I always have, and I started right back up on in my new spot the following week. And it was actually as perfect as possible. They did all the work, and I worked there for 3 years, and it was great. But I was tired of working by myself, and I also still felt stagnant in a way because I couldn't grow. And I'm like, I want to keep growing always,
Yeah.
one foot in front of the other.
So, where did the name Blue Collar come from?
Well, I had a lawyer help me set up my LLC,
Mhm.
and he was like, "All right, dude, you need to figure out what you want to call the barbershop." And I was like, "Let me walk my dogs real quick because that's when I think the clearest."
Mhm.
And so I walked my dogs, and I just thought about it the whole time. Ever since I decided I want to be a barber in freshman year of high school, I was like, "All right, what am I going to call it?" And I could never ever think of anything. Everyone's like, "You should call it Take a Chance Barbershop because my name is Chance." And I'm like, that is the worst name ever. That's not like marketable. The What's the logo gonna be? I don't want the logo to be me. That
Yeah.
just feels like egotistical and just like weird. And then I thought I still like there was a couple names like Grandpa's Barbershop. I always thought was like a funny name, but I went on that walk and then just Blue Collar Barber Co popped into my mind, and I was like, all right, I'm not even going to question it. I don't have to think about it anymore. I like that name. I imagined what my T-shirts could look like one day. It's marketable. I imagined what the branding could look like. And it flows off the tongue. It sounds cool, and truly like I think it matches the vibe of the whole barbershop too. This is purposely put in an urban environment,
Sure.
so I think it fits in.
Okay. Let's go back to you had said that as a barber, you're extremely passionate about keeping the roots of barbering alive.
Mm.
How do you think it's kind of died out more recently?
You see every photo from like World War I era Americana, like 1920s stuff. Every man has like slicked back hair. They're very well kempt. But then like the 70s came, 60s came, like Woodstock era. Everybody had long hair. And that's not really much of a barber thing. It's more of a salon thing. Straight razor shaves kind of died out at a certain point. In my opinion, I've been to Portugal and to one of the best barbershops in the world, and I got a straight razor shave there. And I that really like changed it. Like to receive a good shave myself, to see what it's actually supposed to feel like and what the finishing, like what it's actually supposed to feel like at the end. But it's the same reason I like Converse. Converse will never go out of style. I think like slicking your hair back or doing the stuff, it's always been cool since like the 1920s. Yeah.
It's timeless. Yeah. So you have created this shop here. You've been here about a year. Is that right?
hmm
What is the atmosphere like here?
It's friendly. We always have barbershop banter going, which is also just great. I love how the barbershop banter is just awesome. I've hired the right people that can keep up with it. We all have the darkest sense of humor, but if it's a Friday evening, we always offer people beer. Beer's free if you want it, just grab one out of the fridge. We've got coffee and water. It's extremely inviting. I think anybody that walks in, we ask them how they're doing. I always say, make yourself at home. I think that that's extremely important. And our lobby looks like a living room. And I do that on purpose because I want you to feel like you're at home. Don't feel uncomfortable. Just chill. You're in good hands. You're going to get good haircut. You're not at work. You're not, you know, doing something you don't want to do. It's not the dentist. It's not the doctor's office. The barbershop is like, I think it should be the absolute highlight of your day, your week, maybe your month if we're lucky. We do keep it clean, and hopefully it smells good. I always, first thing I do, other than turning on the lights and playing the music, is get the coffee going in the morning. So ideally, when the first client of the day walks in, they can smell the coffee being brewed. All of your senses are stimulated in a positive way when you walk in. I think it's the reason why I'm a barber too, is like being presentable is like ingrained in me. If you ever catch me and my hair is not perfect, you're catching me on a very off day. I'm having a bad day if that's the case.
And we're in the basement. We're in the speakeasy. Not
Mhm.
very many barbershops
Yeah.
have that
Only
feature.
the coolest barbershops
What
have
made you want to
speakeasy.
create that?
I mean, how cool is it to say that you go to a barbershop that has a speakeasy in the basement? Like that is so cool. It feels like prohibition era. It's just old school. But also, this is like our break room. So we don't have to put on a face when we're down here. We can fully relax. We've got a TV, we've got the PS5, we've got a arcade machine, we've got Nintendo 64, we've got a refrigerator and a microwave. Having a proper break room is extremely beneficial for your work day and your mental health too, because it's like if you always have to be on, it gets exhausting. We joke that every day, most hairstylists and barbers that I know, at the end of the day, after talking all day, borderline being a therapist, working, being on our feet, listening to music, it's great. We love it. But as soon as we're done and we get in our car, there's no radio. We're driving home in silence. We're not talking. We're just decompressing. And it's because it just takes a lot out of you. So
Yeah, I can relate. I know what I tell my hairstylist, so I can imagine
yeah.
what you guys are therapists, not just
Yeah, we call ourselves
barbers.
therapists.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that. I'll have to tell my lady the next time I go to
Yeah.
her.
She's probably heard of that before.
I was gonna say people do not just sit in the chair for the haircut.
Mhm.
So, and I'm sure you have a lot of repeat clients
Oh,
then
yeah.
too.
That's I've personally closed my books, like, I'm not bringing on new people anymore because all my old people have been coming with me forever.
That's
Yeah.
great. What kind of lessons have you learned in doing all of this?
I think, like, number 1 philosophy I've ever had since day 1 is just my business model, when it comes down to it, is just I'm not doing it the corporate way where I'm trying to milk everybody of every single last penny they have. Because in my opinion, that's not sustainable. Here at Blue Collar Barber Co, all of my barbers are 1099, technically self-employed barbers. They manage their own books. They charge their own prices. They decide how they're going to do their services. How long do they want to take on their haircuts? What days do they want to work? Because I don't care to have control over that stuff. I think that empowers the people to operate the way that they want. I do have rules of the barbershop. The barbershop's Blue Collar Barber Co. It's not your barbershop. There's like we use Blue Collar Barber Co. capes. Things are branded. We all sell the same product. We're not gonna each individually sell our own product. There's certain things that are cohesive, but I don't care to have control of to tell you how to do your services because I think that takes away from the fun of it. I think the ultimate lesson is just I treat all of my barbers with absolute respect. I'm not milking them for every penny. It's a booth rent model, not a commission model. I know I'm not making as much money as the owner as I could being on a booth rent model, but ideally, my barbers will stay here for longer and I don't have to worry about turnover rate. And since they're treated well and they know that my business model is benefiting them and putting them on a pedestal and empowering them, they're going to stick around longer. They're going to be more happy. I want this to be a place that we all enjoy being. And it's like, I just know that this is a way more sustainable model. So I just say treat everyone with the respect.
Have you gone back and looked at that notes app and what you had wrote as a freshman in high school versus what you've created here?
Yeah. And I could probably find it, but I think the thing I put on there was $10 haircuts. And I thought that that was like gonna be like, I was gonna be making a ton of money or something. And that's the only thing I disagree with is like $10 haircut. What was I thinking? But other than that, yeah, I love everything I put down. I haven't changed my mind. Once I made up my mind and brainstormed, I'd be on Pinterest or Googling barbershop, like cool barbershops and just kind of picking, like, getting inspiration and just kind of putting it in the back of my brain for whenever I knew I was gonna finally do this.
Okay, let's talk about the aesthetics in here a little bit.
Hmm.
So you've handpicked everything that's in here. So you do have checkered floors upstairs.
Yeah.
Did I see that they're old military
Hmm.
hair chairs?
So the barber chairs that we have 8 total. 2 barber chairs are shampoo bowl chairs,
Hmm.
and those I got reupholstered. Those are the chairs that came with me from the last location. The one that were ripped up, I got them reupholstered, and then they're beautiful cream, and they're Takara Belmonts from 1940. One's from like 1941 and one's from like 1942 or something. And they still work flawlessly today. They're built like tanks. Those are the Rolls Royce of barber chairs. And one thing I did not want to skimp out on as a true barber that completely takes pride in the craft is you don't want to skimp on a barber chair because they're so sturdy. You're cutting thousands of people's hair. You never want it to break down. You don't want it to be loose or wobbly or squeak. And I luckily found a Facebook listing of this lady outside of Fort Leonardwood in Missouri. Every single renovation on this building was paid with cash. I didn't take out any loans, which I'm very proud of. So I didn't have to go into debt to get my business going. I found this listing, and this woman was selling these 8-year-old decommissioned military barber chairs from Fort Leonard Wood for $1,000 each. So I got my buddies in. We went on a Sunday. It was like a couple-hour drive, and we got there. And she lived on this awesome farm, and she was a barber herself. She had this whole shipping container full of like 20 super high-end barber chairs, and that just doesn't happen. Now I've got the best of the best, and I got it on a budget. We stopped at this amazing old school small town Missouri diner called Creamy's Drive-In in Eldon, Missouri.
Yep.
And it was the best drive-in we ever had, best ice cream I've ever had. And then they make their onion rings, like I think they dip them in like vanilla batter or something because they were just the best. So that was just a fun, and it was a beautiful spring day. It was just a fun little trip that my buddies, I was very grateful that they tagged along, and we got it done. So that was awesome.
It's great. So what's next for Blue Collar?
Well, we've got 5 of us. There's 6 chairs and 6 stations. So eventually another person will come along and present themselves and want to work here. I haven't really done like proper interviews. The right people have just presented themselves, and I can tell if they're serious or not. And I don't charge cheap booth rent. Only serious people are gonna, they'll like the people that aren't serious are gonna weed themselves out. I'm also not desperate. My grand goal is I think I'd like to have 3 locations in the city one day, but no more than that because I think I can still manage 3. And I like the idea of putting one in the West Bottoms and then one in Waldo because I live down in Waldo. And
Sure.
I love Waldo, but we've lost so many like cool businesses down there. There's character down in Waldo, and there's not really like awesome barbershop down there.
Sure.
So it's like a missing niche down there. So that'd be cool. In the West Bottoms, there's a lot of construction going on down there. So I think it would be cool, but I'm not in a rush.
So what would you say? What advice would you give to somebody who's, kind of questioning maybe making a change or a move? Not necessarily to being a barber, but what would
Well,
you say
save
to a
up
young
money.
barber?
You just number one is save up money. If you're a barber, being busy and having a clientele that's loyal to you and saving up money are the absolute 2 things. Other than that, just do it. You just got to do it. Like I said, you got to turn your brain off. Don't listen to things that tell you not to do it, that it's the wrong idea. What if this happens? What if that happens? Whatever. Like, worst case scenario, hopefully you're still alive. If you're alive and ideally you got a roof over your head and you can still eat food, even if the business doesn't work out, you'll probably be fine. You can always go work for someone else again. Like, it'll be okay. I would just say, just do it. But ideally, you really do need to have some money saved up, or you can take out a business loan too. So don't use necessarily having to save up money as an excuse.
Anything that you learned that you want to note to others? Hey, pay attention to this, or I learned this the hard way.
Don't be a negative Nancy and put some trust into people. People like are way cooler than your imagination makes it out to be. A lot of people just think of worst case scenario always. That what if you open up a business and you get robbed in the first month? I'm sure that's happened. And if it go, that's why I've got insurance.
Sure.
I'm a very half glass full kind of person. I think that's just a life philosophy is just be positive. Don't think about the worst case scenario. And at the end of the day, hopefully you're still alive and you've got if you've got a roof over your head, you got a vehicle that can drive you from point A to point B, you've got a job that can make you money and you're eating 3 square meals a day, you're better off than like 99% of the world. And we're pretty spoiled. So don't let yourself like get used to that.
Anything you do differently?
No, not really. I would have done expanded, I feel like sooner, but I had a 3-year lease that I had to fulfill.
Sure.
I don't really believe in breaking leases. So I wish I just kind of did it sooner. You can't just live your life just wishing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Is there any one thing that you want people to know about you or about this space?
Um, I feel like I should have mentioned it during my story, but I think like a important thing that I don't talk about too much. I think a big thing about who I am today and my work ethic and people say I'm mature. It depends on who you ask. But my dad died of an overdose when I was 12. And then my mom, I had to make the decision by myself to decide the date to take her off life support the day after I graduated high school.
Oh,
So
wow.
that was those two things were, you could say it was character development, but they're extremely like, most people don't have to deal with that stuff till they're like 50 or whatever.
Right.
And me being 12 years old and then 18 and having to go through that. I remember the moment that she passed away, I was holding her hand and a heartbeat monitor is delayed by like however many seconds. And I could feel the moment that she passed away before the heartbeat monitor went flat. And it felt, I'm not really like religious or spiritual or whatever, but I can't really explain what I felt, but it was like I was crying and it was this feeling of calmness that like soothed me and made me know everything was going to be okay, but also complete motivation to like never use those things as an excuse to not be successful. Because in high school, and yes, it's high school, we're all stupid and young and dumb, but I had classmates that like came from a shitty home and they used it as an excuse to like not do anything with their lives. And I was 100% motivated to absolutely not let that define who I am and use it as motivation to achieve my dreams. And I don't know, I hit the like gas pedal at that moment. I'm like, this is what I'm doing. I'm not gonna allow myself to never achieve my dreams because I'm not gonna use this stuff or like allow this stuff to hold me back. So I feel like that's a big reason why I'm where I'm at now. So,
That was kind of the moment that shaped you then.
hmm yeah,
It's powerful. I
yeah,
think we all kind of have a moment that makes us realize this is
yeah,
what I'm going to go do.
yeah, exactly. So,
Have you used that as you've continued to build this? Like, has that continually been your motivation to go out on your own, to grow it, and
I
to
mean,
make it even bigger?
probably at the core root of it, I'd love to just travel the world. I don't want to allow myself to die one day without traveling the world. I mean, I've been to a lot of places, but it's not enough. That's
What's
what.
your dream travel destination?
Well, I'm going to Thailand and Vietnam this fall,
Oh,
and
wow.
that's like I know I'm going to absolutely. That's going to be. I feel like I'll probably go there every year for the rest of my life because it has everything that you want to offer. It's got the cool city, it's got the great beaches, it's got the awesome mountains, and everything is extremely affordable as an American. Your dollar goes, you can basically live off of $10 a day, and that includes your housing, your transportation, what you're doing that day, 3 square meals a day, some beers, whatever. Like $10 a day has you covered. So that is my dream trip.
What would you say your one piece of advice that you would give to somebody like you that, might be having a dream and trying to make the decision to move on it?
Well, you got to have your vision. I was recently told there's a difference between a vision and a 5-year business plan. And I guess that's technically right, but I never wrote down a business plan ever. I've always just had it in my brain exactly. I've thought about the details like, okay, am I going to be a 1099 shop or am I going to be a W-2 shop? Are we going to be booth rent? Are we going to be commission? What's the name of the shop going to be? How is it going to operate? You got to know what your identity is going to be. Be confident in your brand. Don't ever like lower your standard for hiring people because you're desperate or wanting to be a super big people pleaser. You just got to know exactly what you want and how you're going to get there. But like, I never wrote down a business plan. I still haven't. It's been 4 years. We're doing great.
Well, thank you.
Well, thank you.
Anything else you want to share that I haven't asked you, or?
I think that covers it.
Here's what stuck with me after I left Blue Collar. Chance never wrote a business plan. What he had was a picture in his head he'd been carrying since high school, and the nerve to turn his brain off long enough to actually sign the papers. He's been handed things most people don't face until they're in their 50s. And instead of using it as a reason to stay small, he called it his gas pedal. So if there's something you keep driving past right now, telling yourself the timing's off, maybe it's never going to feel right. Maybe you save up, turn your brain off, and go anyway. Thank you for spending this time with me today. If this one hit home for you, I would love to hear about it. What's something you've been driving past that keeps pulling at you? Send me an email at icmlivinglifeunpaused@gmail.com or send me a DM. And please, if you're enjoying the show, send it to someone you think would enjoy it too. And make sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. I'll be here every Monday. And remember, it's just one intentional thing every day that moves your life forward. Until next week, be careful out there.